Relative calm has been restored to most areas in and around Johannesburg, which experienced community protests this morning. A number of areas, including Eldorado Park, Freedom Park, Diepkloof and Meadowlands in Soweto, Diepkloof, saw communities blocking roads with burning tires and rocks. A video was earlier uploaded on social media showing protests earlier this morning. Areas affected, as we've mentioned, include Eldorado Park, Diepkloof, Pimville, Meadowlands, Freedom Park and Fisherville. It's understood that the protests are against prepaid electricity in the Soweto area. Roads are reported to be open now as debris has been moved. Johannesburg motorists are being advised to express extreme caution on the roads. For more on the story, we'll cross to our reporter Chriselda Lewis in Eldorado Park. Good afternoon, Chriselda. There seem to be pockets of violence that keep on flaring up.
Well, that's right, Nzinga. Where I'm standing right now is just the road that separates both Freedom Park and Eldorado Park. And as you can see here next to me, this is just one of the tires that police have managed to move out of the road. And these pockets of violence keep flaring up. I'm just going to try and cross the road here and hope that I don't get into some trouble with the Johannesburg Metro Police Department. But the pockets of violence that you see here right next to me is what residents say is a culmination of months and even years of their demands not being met. They say that a number of ministers have been here. You'd recall the former housing minister or human settlements minister, Lindiwe Sisulu, was here last year to come and address some of the major concerns when this very community here in Eldorado Park towards my left had also raised concerns and also protested quite violently, saying that they want the issue of housing to be addressed. Now the issue of land is one of the things that's taken centre stage, and really these residents are saying they're going to continue with their protest action. It's service delivery related demands then, Zinga, but this is a culmination or an inclusive demand of a number of things, including housing, prepaid water and electricity, as well as some of the other basic demands that these residents say they want access to: issues of water, issues of electricity. Those are the things that have taken centre stage here. I have been saying throughout the morning in Zinga, as I've been crossing to our other programs here on SABC News, that this is not the first time that this community has fled up in violence over these demands. And a number of ministers have come and addressed some of the issues in this area. But really, they're saying none of the talks that they've held with the powers that be have yielded the kind of results that they wanted. Hence, they have now gone back to the picket line and have decided to take to the streets once again. But a relative calm has been restored here, but every now and again you see some of the residents throwing some of the stones back into the road. Police just a few moments ago had fired rubber bullets before we went on air, and every time they try to remove the debris from the road, they move to another area and throw more stones into the middle of the road. This is the area where majority of the traffic in Zinga was affected this morning in that peak hour, and I think of major concern at this time. You would see most of these major trucks use this route to get into the city centre of Johannesburg. I think of major concern at this point is the fact that when there is peak hour traffic again this afternoon, there will not be a resurgence of the kind of violence that was seen here this morning. So really, police have had their hands full since this morning, and I do understand that the Johannesburg Metro Police Department will also try to deploy more police as we head towards the afternoon. And of course, at about 3 o'clock, 4 and 5, we expect more of that traffic in this very busy road here, which links to both Eldorado Park to Lenasia, as well as Freedom Park, which is towards my right, where we also saw quite a lot of that violence here this morning. So residents quite adamant at this stage that they're going to continue with their protest action. We covered these protests just before I wrap up then, Zinga. We covered these protests last year when the then Minister of Human Settlements, Lindiwe Sisulu, was called here together with Paul Mashatile, the Human Settlements supremacy for Gauteng. And these residents are basically saying that they've had a tough time trying to get many of their concerns addressed by the powers that be. And now what they want is some kind of action. They're even threatening so early on as well that as we head towards many of the political parties trying to get many of these communities to go and try and campaign for next year's election, they are saying that they're very despondent to take part in anything that may be referred to as an election that will come next year. And they're saying that many of the concerns that they tried to address as early as last year have not been addressed even to this point at the Strait. So major frustration at this point from a lot of the community members in this area in the Johannesburg South.
Chriselda, there were visuals floating online of school children taking part in those protests. Have you seen any of that? And have you seen any response from either provincial officials or national officials responding to these protests?
Well, I did not get the first part of your question, and then Zinga, but I heard the last part. But we've not heard from any of the City of Johannesburg officials or anyone within the Gauteng provincial government who perhaps would want to respond to the concerns of these communities. Nothing as yet, and I think that's what's going to fuel more of the concerns from residents and the kind of violence that we saw, because they honestly feel like they've been marginalized. They feel like not much of their concerns have been taken to heart. They feel like despite the many visits by high-profile officials here, not much has been done to change their lives. That's what they say. And I think it's the kind of thing that we will continue to see over the past, over the next few days, as they've threatened that during this month, May, we will continue to see this kind of action. This is not the last time that they're going to embark on this kind of protest.
That was SABC reporter Chriselda Lewis coming to us live from those protests in Eldorado